You think you're being authentic. You think showing your real self to the world is a form of strength. You're wrong. And every time you step into public space with that delusion, you're handing strangers the knife they'll eventually use to carve you apart. Machiavelli understood something that most people spend their entire lives refusing to accept it. The public realm is not a place for truth. It's a theater of power. And you are either performing correctly or you are being consumed. There are behaviors, seemingly innocent, that mark you as prey the moment they leave your lips or cross your face. 9 of them, specifically, 9 self-destructive acts that people commit every single day in public, believing they're harmless, while the world quietly catalogues their weaknesses and prepares to exploit them. You think I'm exaggerating. You think this is paranoia. That's precisely why you're vulnerable. Let's begin. You're sitting in a coffee shop and someone asks you a question about your work, your plans, your dreams. And without thinking, you answer honestly, completely. You lay out your strategy, your timeline, your aspirations, like you're unveiling a map of buried treasure to someone you just met. This is the first thing you should never do in public. Reveal your intentions before they manifest. Machiavelli wrote that men judge by the eye rather than by the hand, because everyone can see, but few can feel. What he meant is this: people will sabotage what they can see coming. The moment you announce your plans, you activate a network of invisible resistance. Some will doubt you openly. Others will smile and nod, while quietly hoping you fail, because your success makes them confront their own stagnation. But the most dangerous ones, the ones Machiavelli warned us about most urgently, are those who will steal your ideas and execute them before you do, because you were foolish enough to hand them the blueprint. Silence is not secrecy born from shame. It's strategic opacity. It's the refusal to give the world ammunition against your future self. Keep your mouth shut about what you're building until the structure is so solid that no one can tear it down with words. But there's something even more insidious than revealing your plans. It's revealing your wounds. Watch what happens when someone in public, at a dinner party, in a work meeting, during a casual conversation, starts oversharing their pain, the trauma, the betrayal, the heartbreak. They think they're being vulnerable. They think vulnerability is strength because some therapist or self-help guru told them it was. And maybe in private, with people who have earned your trust through years of reciprocal loyalty, vulnerability can be powerful. But in public, among acquaintances, colleagues, strangers, vulnerability is blood in the water. People don't admire weakness. They catalog it. They file it away under your name in their mental database. And when the moment comes that they need leverage, they'll reach for that file and use your confessions against you. This is the second thing you must never do: overshare your personal struggles. Machiavelli observed that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. He understood that respect is built on perceived strength, not sympathetic relatability. The moment people see you as broken, you lose the invisible armor that keeps opportunists at bay. You become a target, not for overt cruelty necessarily, but for subtle manipulation, for being passed over, for being dismissed. Power structures, even informal ones, do not reward the wounded. They exploit them. Now you might be thinking, this is too cynical, too dark. Human beings are fundamentally good, aren't they? Some are, in private, in contexts where reputation and social competition aren't at stake. But Machiavelli's genius was that he wrote about how humans actually behave in public spheres, not how we wish they would behave. And the truth he uncovered is that most people operate from self-interest masked as civility, which brings us to the third mistake: complaining publicly about people who aren't present. You're frustrated with your boss, your partner, your friend, and someone at the table asks you how things are going. So you vent, you criticize, you reveal the cracks in your relationships. What you don't realize is that you've just committed two sins simultaneously. First, you've shown everyone listening that you're disloyal. If you'll talk about others behind their backs, you'll talk about them too. Trust evaporates. Second, you've demonstrated poor emotional regulation. Complaining is a signal that you lack the power to change your circumstances or the discipline to endure them strategically. Either way, you look weak. Machiavelli would tell you to smile when speaking about those who challenge you, to speak in generalities, to reveal nothing that could be used against you or the person you're discussing. Because every word you say in public is a potential weapon in someone else's hands. There's something we haven't touched yet. Something more dangerous than any of these, but we need to lay more groundwork first. Let's talk about the fourth mistake: showing desperation. Desperation comes in many forms: asking for help too eagerly, laughing too hard at jokes that aren't funny because you want to be liked, agreeing with opinions you don't hold because you fear social exclusion, sending too many follow-up messages, explaining yourself when no explanation was requested. All of these behaviors scream one thing: I need you more than you need me. And in the economy of social power, the person who needs less holds all the cards. Machiavelli understood that appearing indifferent, even slightly aloof, creates magnetic intrigue. People chase what withdraws from them. They lose interest in what chases them. This isn't about game playing for its own sake. It's about understanding the dark psychology that governs human attention and desire. When you show desperation in public, you don't inspire compassion. You inspire contempt. Because deep down, people are wired to associate desperation with low value. It's brutal, it's unfair, but it's true. And denying this truth won't protect you from its consequences. The fifth thing you should never do is harder to spot, because it feels virtuous: defending yourself against rumors or criticism in public. Someone says something false about you, or something true but unflattering. Your instinct is to correct the record, to defend your reputation, to explain your side. Don't. Every time you publicly defend yourself, you validate the accusation by acknowledging it deserves a response. You elevate the critic by engaging them, and worst of all, you appear defensive, which in the court of public opinion is indistinguishable from guilt. Machiavelli advised that a prince must learn to be not good, to use or not use his goodness as necessity requires. What he meant is that sometimes the strategic move is to let lies breathe and die on their own, to remain silent and untouchable, while lesser people exhaust themselves with noise. Your silence communicates confidence. It suggests the criticism is beneath you, unworthy of acknowledgement. And over time, people forget what was said. But they never forget the image of you scrambling to defend yourself. That image is permanent. It rewrites their perception of your power. Choose silence. Choose mystery. Let your actions speak across months and years, not your rebuttals across hours. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. One that involves something most people do reflexively, without ever considering the cost. We'll get there. First, let's address the sixth mistake: celebrating your victories publicly. You landed the promotion, closed the deal, won the award, finished the project, and you want to share it. You want recognition. You want people to see that you're winning, so you post about it. You bring it up in conversation. You let your success become visible. And immediately, you've created a target on your back. Machiavelli warned that men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. What does this mean in our context? It means that your public celebration of success activates envy in ways you cannot control or predict. Some people will congratulate you to your face, while cursing you behind your back. Others will begin working to undermine you, consciously or unconsciously, because your rise makes them feel their stagnation more acutely. The smartest players celebrate in private, with the few people whose loyalty has been tested by time. In public, they remain modest, almost apologetic about their success. This isn't false humility. It's strategic invisibility. It's refusing to paint yourself as the tallest tree that attracts the lightning. The seventh thing you must never do: display your full intelligence in every conversation. You know the answer. You see the solution. You understand the dynamics more clearly than everyone else in the room. And because you've been taught that intelligence is valuable, you demonstrate it. You correct people. You offer unsolicited insights. You subtly signal that you're the smartest person present. What you don't realize is that intelligence, when displayed without social calibration, generates resentment rather than respect. Machiavelli observed that people are more concerned with how they appear than with understanding truth. When you make others feel intellectually inferior, even unintentionally, you don't win allies. You create silent enemies. The art is to let others feel intelligent in your presence, to ask questions that guide them to conclusions rather than delivering those conclusions yourself. To be, as Machiavelli put it, a fox and a lion, knowing when to be clever and when to appear simple. The most dangerous minds are those that hide their depth behind a mask of normalcy, because when people underestimate you, they speak freely around you. They reveal their strategies, their weaknesses, their true intentions, and you collect information while they assume you're not worth guarding against. Now we arrive at the eighth mistake, one so common it's almost invisible: showing anger or losing your temper in public. Someone disrespects you, cuts you off in traffic, dismisses your idea in a meeting, takes credit for your work, and you feel rage rising. Maybe you express it physically, through body language, Maybe verbally, with raised voice or sharp words. Maybe just facially, with expressions you can't fully control. It doesn't matter. The moment you lose composure in public, you lose power. Machiavelli insisted that a leader must be both loved and feared, but if he cannot be both, it is far safer to be feared. But fear built on explosive anger is unstable and ultimately weak. True fear, the kind that creates respect, comes from controlled intensity, from the sense that you could destroy someone but choose not to, from cold calculation rather than hot reaction. When you lose your temper publicly, you reveal that your emotions control you, and people who are controlled by their emotions can be manipulated by anyone skilled enough to trigger those emotions. You become predictable. You become a puppet. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury, to remain unmoved, to respond with precision rather than passion. This is not about suppressing your humanity. It's about refusing to give others the satisfaction of destabilizing you. Your composure is a fortress. Don't tear down your own walls. And finally, the ninth thing, perhaps the most counterintuitive: never appear too perfect, too flawless, too without fault in public. You've curated your image carefully. Your appearance is immaculate. Your speech is polished. Your life, as you present it, has no cracks. You think this makes you admirable. It doesn't. It makes you inhuman. And people instinctively distrust the inhuman. Machiavelli wrote that men judge, generally more by the eye than by the hand. They see what you appear to be. Few really know what you are. But if what you appear to be is too polished, too perfect, they assume you're hiding something darker, and they're often right. The paradox is that strategic, minor imperfections make you more believable, more trustworthy, more human. A small joke at your own expense, a minor admission of a non-critical flaw, a moment of controlled informality. These things lower guards. They make people feel they can relate to you. And when people feel they can relate to you, they don't see you as a threat. They invite you closer. They reveal more. And you gain access to information and influence that perfection would have blocked. This is the dark art of strategic authenticity, appearing genuine while carefully controlling what parts of your genuine self you reveal. So here is where we stand. You've learned 9 behaviors that most people perform reflexively, believing them to be harmless or even virtuous, while Machiavelli's ghost watches and shakes his head at their naivety. You've learned that the public realm demands a different version of you than the private one. Not a false version, but a strategic one. A version that understands that every social interaction is also a negotiation of power, whether we want to admit it or not. You might be uncomfortable with this framework. Good. Comfort is the enemy of awareness, and awareness is the only thing standing between you and exploitation. The world is not fair. It's not designed to reward the authentic or the pure-hearted. It's designed to reward those who understand its rules and play accordingly. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to make people feel good. He wrote it to tell them the truth about how power actually works, stripped of moral decoration and wishful thinking. And the truth is that you are always being watched, always being judged, always being categorized as either useful or irrelevant, strong or weak, threat or resource. But here's what I haven't told you yet. The thing that ties all 9 of these behaviors together into a single principle. Every mistake we've discussed is a form of information leakage. You're leaking data about yourself into the public sphere without realizing that data will be weaponized. Your plans, your pain, your disloyalty, your desperation, your defensiveness, your victories, your intelligence, your anger, your perfection, all of it is information. And in a world where everyone is trying to navigate their own survival and advancement, information about you is valuable to others in ways that don't benefit you. The most powerful people are informational black holes. They absorb everything and reveal almost nothing. They ask questions and listen carefully. They observe patterns. They remember details. But when it's their turn to speak, they offer only what serves their purpose, nothing more. This is not sociopathy. This is survival in complex social ecosystems. This is refusing to be naive about human nature while still maintaining your ethics in private relationships where trust has been established. You're probably wondering how to actually implement this, how to move through the world with this level of awareness without becoming paranoid or antisocial. The answer is calibration. You don't treat everyone like a potential enemy. You simply refuse to treat strangers and acquaintances like trusted intimates. You create circles of trust. The outer circle receives your public persona polished, strategic, careful. The middle circle receives more, but still with boundaries. And the inner circle, the people who've proven their loyalty through years and actions, they receive your unguarded truth. This is how you protect yourself without losing your humanity. This is how you honor Machiavelli's insights without becoming cruel. Because Machiavelli wasn't advocating cruelty for its own sake. He was advocating strategic thinking in contexts where naivety gets you destroyed. The philosophers and psychologists understand this dance. Nietzsche wrote about masks, about how every profound spirit needs a mask, how around every profound spirit a mask is continually growing. He understood that showing your full self to everyone is not authenticity, it's recklessness. Jung talked about the persona, the social face we present to the world, and how a healthy psyche requires both a functional persona and a private self that the persona protects. Modern social psychology confirms what these thinkers intuited. We perform different versions of ourselves in different contexts. And this isn't dishonesty. It's adaptive intelligence. The problem is that most people perform unconsciously. They leak information without strategy. They trust without reason. They assume good faith where none exists. And they wonder why the world feels so brutal, why they keep getting hurt, why opportunities slip through their fingers while others who seem less deserving succeed. The brutal truth that no one wants to say out loud is that niceness without strategic awareness is just camouflaged weakness. Kindness without boundaries is just self-sacrifice waiting to be exploited. Authenticity without discretion is just ammunition you're handing to people who haven't earned access to your interior world. And the saddest part is that people who operate this way often blame themselves when things go wrong. They internalize the failure. They think they're not good enough, when the reality is they were simply too unguarded, too trusting, too willing to believe that everyone operates from the same values they do. Machiavelli's great gift to us was the permission to see clearly, to look at human behavior without the rose-colored glasses of how we wish people would act, and instead see how they actually do act when their interests are at stake. So what now? You finish this video and you go back into the world. And you have a choice. You can dismiss everything you've heard as too dark, too cynical, too calculating. You can tell yourself that you're different, that your world is different, that the people around you are better than this framework suggests. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're one of the lucky few surrounded entirely by people of integrity and goodwill. But probably not. Probably you've already experienced the sting of misplaced trust, of information weaponized against you, of vulnerability punished rather than honored. And if that's true, then you already know, somewhere deep in your gut, that what I'm telling you aligns with reality. You've just been taught to ignore that instinct, to override it with platitudes about authentic living and radical transparency. Stop ignoring it. Start calibrating. Watch what you reveal. Notice who listens a little too carefully to your struggles. Pay attention to who celebrates your victories with genuine warmth versus forced smiles. Observe who asks questions to understand you versus questions to catalog your weaknesses. Learn to recognize the difference between someone interested in mutual growth and someone mining you for information they can use. These skills aren't paranoid. They're essential because the alternative is moving through life as an open book in a world full of people looking for pages to tear out and use for their own purposes. You don't have to become Machiavelli's prince. You don't have to scheme and manipulate and treat every interaction as warfare. But you do need to wake up to the fact that some people will treat you that way, whether you reciprocate or not. And being awake, being aware, being strategic about what you show and to whom you show it, that's not corruption. That's wisdom. The path forward is not to become cold or closed off. It's to become discerning, to develop the ability to read rooms, to sense intentions, to distinguish between safe spaces and performance stages. And once you have that ability, you get to choose. You get to be vulnerable with those who've earned it. You get to share your plans with those who'll support rather than sabotage them. You get to celebrate your wins with those who genuinely want you to succeed. But you stop casting pearls before swine. You stop giving your power away to people who haven't demonstrated they'll handle it with care. This is the middle path between naive openness and paranoid closure. This is how you honor both Machiavelli's realism and your own humanity. You think you're being authentic. You think showing your real self to the world is a form of strength. Now you know better.